Okay, so we're here with yet another video, yet another podcast. Here with Sean E. Boy. We're interrupting our regular scheduled programming because I'm going to try and explain this as articulately as I can. My brother and your Shawnee Boy's uncle, Steve, is turning 70 on the 6th of August. So rather than put our regular podcast up today, we're putting a podcast where we're going to talk about Steve. Wish him a happy birthday, of course. Say happy birthday, Steve.
Uncle Steve, happy 70th. That's unbelievable. Can't believe it.
Can't believe it either. You and I are only 30 each, and I have a brother. You have an uncle that's 70. It's unbelievable.
I mean, it's people around my age. We start to talk about all your family you grew up with. They're getting 70s. Some are hitting 80s. You're just like, damn.
Yes. So you're back in the northeastern part of the United States of America, and we'll get into that on another podcast. We'll do one maybe later on in the week, but I wanted to focus on Steve today. The reason why we're doing this, if anybody is interested in watching this or listening to us, is because my brother's daughter, Christina, who is Shawnee Boy's cousin, is doing one of those, everybody do a 1-minute video so she can make a montage. I guess that's the new thing to do, especially when your family isn't right near you. My brother Steve lives in Texas. So does Christina, and my sister-in-law Lorana, and the whole 9 yards out there in what state was that again? Texas. I'll be all right.
In the Panhandle. Don't worry about it.
So, my two sisters did a video, and I saw that, and she's trying to do a compilation of that. And I thought, rather than do that, because I've done that before in the past, and how you doing? How are you? Happy birthday. That kind of a thing. I figured we do a little, and the real reason I want to do it is because I'd never told Steve or any of my other brothers that we do this podcast. So this would be a good way to let them know that, we do this podcast. So, but that does seem to be the new cultural trend, right, Sean?
Oh, yes. I just did one. I did my buddy, good friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, went to college with, whatever. His wife just turned 40, and I did another one during the pandemic for my uncle on my dad's side. It seems to be the thing, and it's weird because, you sit in front of a camera or video or whatever, and you gotta, hey, happy brother, like whatever it is you're going to say. And you feel like a moron. At least I do,
Yeah. Well, I feel like that regardless, but I figured this would be a good way to alert the rest of the family about this podcast, number one, and also a poignant way to say happy birthday to my oldest brother, Steve, who is a Vietnam veteran himself. I've done a podcast with a Vietnam veteran. I've done a podcast with a World War II veteran, and right in my backyard is a Vietnam veteran himself. He was in the Navy and the Army, which, not a lot of people can say that. He served both in the Army and the Navy. Yeah. I think he was in Germany in the Army, and in the Navy. He did some tours in the Mediterranean, I believe, during the Reagan administration.
Gotcha. So, but side note, does this seclude us from having to do the video?
Huh?
Does this seclude us from having to do the video?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I'd rather do this and let them know about that this exists than do that montage. No offense, right, Christina, if you happen to be watching.
Christina, we love you.
We do. I did one for my brother Robert a couple of years ago, and like you feel like a moron when you're doing those things, So, but yeah, he's a very important person in my life. Obviously, my oldest brother. He, you mentioned in a previous podcast about how much influence I had on you in terms of the Mets and music.
Yeah.
Well, that came from really my brother Steven, who was probably the major influence on my musical outlook and my sports outlook.
Oh, so, yeah.
So you keep giving a nod to me, and it's actually your Uncle Steve that's the main vine, so to speak.
Well, I know that, I know he, I mean, musically, like he was always great because let's say a family barbecue, there would be a song that came down. He would like, like you could tell, like it hit him in the soul. And like, I realized like, like how music can like through Uncle Steve, how it can kind of move people. Like it would just fire him up. Like, like some people just, they bob their head. He would like, oh, this is a song. This is the
Yeah.
song, and I also,
More
I'm
than music, though, I think he taught me musical appreciation, like little nuances in songs that you wouldn't have noticed if he didn't point it out to you,
okay.
you know? Little things like the Moody Blues, he would always throw, because they had a lot of little nuances in their music. And he goes, listen to this little piece here, you know, like
Yeah.
a, 2/8 of a note, It's like, wow, never noticed that before. So music appreciation was his forte.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want to say is because this is not an obituary. He's only 70. He's got many more years to go. He's still alive.
He's alive and well. He's doing well.
Yes, he's
Um,
only got 30 years left. So
yeah. I just remember like at barbecues and holidays, hit Uncle Steve, you, Uncle Rich, Uncle Rob, but me, you and Uncle Steve probably more. Like yeah, like the music part was something like I like that. I'm sure me and other nieces and nephews kind of took away was like watching two people really appreciate listening to music, and now I'm a person who like appreciates music. So
yes, we also during those barbecues taught you how to drink responsibly.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
by responsibly, I mean don't leave a can behind.
Yeah, and Uncle Steve at those barbecues, he'd be like, Sean, grab me a beer. No, no, not the top. I want the cold ass beer at the bottom of the cooler. Yeah, like he wanted,
Yes,
and it was a Budweiser for sure.
yes, yes. Well, he had a funny story about he went to Cardinal Hayes. Remember we talked previously about Cardinal Hayes? You actually had to pay attention to grammar school to get into Cardinal Hayes. Well, he went to Cardinal Hayes along with, whoever, George Carlin, I think, went there, Regis Philbin, and Steve McGeady, But anyway, he was telling me one time that he went back to Cardinal Hayes, and the way he describes it, only the way he can. He was saying, you drive up the road and you see crap, crap, crap. Then you see the Cardinal Hayes with the well-trimmed grass and the flags flying, and then crap, crap, crap. That's how he described the neighborhood.
Yeah. That's very similar, I'm sure, to Fordham. At Fordham, it's like this beautiful campus, and then once you get past it, you're like, oh, back to
Yeah.
Fordham.
Yeah, but it can be described only the way Uncle Steve can,
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know he got right before your brother got married. I remember he got who was pitching to him. Somebody was pitching to him because we played a lot of baseball in all of our collective youths, and he got hit in the head right like a week before the wedding. Who was throwing him a ball?
I remember.
Can it be Shawnee Boy? No.
No. I didn't do that. I remember when we were younger in our front yard, like I don't know, we were having a hardball catch. I don't know if this is what you're thinking about. Maybe it would happen twice, but
It was right before your brother Keith got married.
no. So this is back when I was probably like, I don't know, 10, 12, I have no idea.
Oh.
And like he wore glasses. Uncle Steve, I don't know if he still does, but he wore glasses at a time. And the ball hit him in the glasses, and then like cut his head. I just remember I was like, oh,
That wasn't around the time Keith got married.
No, unless Keith got married.
So this is an ongoing incident that keeps happening to him.
I guess so.
Well,
I don't recall the one before Keith's wedding, but I was also 23, 24 and out to lunch for a while.
well, no, he got hit in the head. He was having a catch. I thought it was you, actually. That's why I set that up. But
yeah,
maybe it was Keith that was pitching to him.
It was Christopher.
It might have been Christopher or, one of your other cousins. But I remember he went to Keith's wedding and had like a bandage on his head. He looked like you don't remember that?
Listen, my brother's wedding, I was the best. It was a lot of drinking that night, but I vaguely kind of remember. But let's be honest, Uncle Steve's had some bandages over the years, so
But
you know.
you're on the wagon now, right?
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got it all in.
Yeah, my 20s was
Got it all. Well, that's all right. You're better off without it, to be
yeah,
honest.
I haven't had a drink in a long time.
I drink very sporadically myself,
Yeah. So
um, maybe a couple of Guinnesses every couple of months or so,
the next day, just as you get older, it's for the birds. But anyway,
I was a Budweiser man
Yeah.
in my 20s and 30s and 40s.
well,
But
because
now I'm almost exclusively Guinness.
which is
Yeah.
which is a way better beer. But when I was growing up around Uncle Steven and yourself, like I thought Budweiser was, that it was like, that must be the beer.
King of
So,
beers.
So when I first started drinking, I guess that's the name of it, right? When I first started drinking in, whatever, 15s, whatever the age was, is like I'm like, we gotta get Budweiser. That's obviously
Yes.
the best beer you can get. But
Yes.
as you get older, you're like, oh, maybe not.
And you knew when you made up the cooler, and you threw the ice over it, you knew the ones that you put on the bottom of the cooler that you threw the ice over were reserved for Uncle Steve.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember I was just thinking about time. One of my favorite years was 1986 for a variety of reasons, but I guess the chief reason was Mets went to the World Series then. And your uncle and I, 162 games regular season, we probably saw about 100 of those 162 games. I mean, we were deep into it,
Yeah.
We always had the feeling that they were going to do something that year, even in the spring, But I'll give you a memory, which I probably never told you before, but he and a friend of ours, Allie was his name. And
I vaguely remember him.
Allie, yeah. Well, that was the soda jerk guy I was telling about. But anyway, and myself also, the three of us watched a hell of a lot of games, or went to a hell of a lot of games that year. And game 6, if you know the history of game 6, I don't know how old you were in 86, but if you were 8, I don't know how cognizant you were of what was going on. You were a similar age that I was, maybe a little older than I was in 69 when the Mets won the World Series.
I have the DVDs. I've rewatched, so I'm familiar with Game 6 as an adult.
Yeah, well, there was a DVD called A Year to Remember, which was
that was the best.
Excellently done. It encompassed the whole season. I forget who put it out, but I think we watched that in 87, 88, and 89 too, like four times a year for like 4 years. But game 6, if you know the story, the Mets were losing in the 9th inning. I think it was the 9th, and Mets were up in the series. This would have tied the series. No,
they were down 3-2.
They were down 3-2. If they lost the game, they would have lost the series to the Red Sox. And it's fairly famous. Not Jimmy Carter, but Gary Carter, I think, led off the inning with a single. I mean, we were in the dumps. We were at Allie's apartment. Me, my brother Steve, and Allie.
Yeah. And there was 2 outs with Carter up.
Yeah, it was all with 2 outs. Yeah. So
that's the crazy fucking part.
Yeah, that's the thing. And we were sitting in Allie's apartment, and we, drank through the whole thing. But we were down in the dumps come the 9th inning. I think it was the 9th inning, right?
No, yeah. It was the 10th.
I think you're right. I think it was tied in the 9th. And
it was the Mets' last licks. That's pretty much.
It was that guy Henderson. I forget his first name on the Red Sox, hit a homer.
Yeah, Dave
Henderson. Yeah.
Dave Henderson.
And so we were in the dumps. We were, there was a hell of a seat. Actually, we were telling us, so this is a hell of a run we had, whatever. and then Gary Carter, because we really devoted ourselves to the Mets that year. I'm telling you, we probably more than 100 games we either watched, went to.
Yeah.
I mean, this is before cable came to the Bronx, so we would go up to like Westchester to watch a game in some bar that had cable.
Oh, Westchester Ave?
No, Westchester County, where you where you are. We would go everywhere to watch a ball game.
Gotcha.
And a lot of times we went to more than 20 games that year too. At least I did, but. So I remember, so Gary Carter led off with a single, right? And then was it Kevin Mitchell?
Kevin Mitchell got a single, was first and second.
Yeah, and then
Ray Knight hit the bloop.
The
It was four batters scored 3 runs.
yeah, Ray Knight hit a single.
Right? Like a bloop over second base.
Yeah, and then Gary Carter scored.
Mitchell the third.
Mitchell the third. Ray Knight on first.
Yeah, and Mookie Wilson up.
And then Mookie Wilson up, and then so they were down by a run, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they must have been losing. I think 4-2, maybe
5-3.
5-3. Okay. And then Mookie Wilson gets up, and there was a pass ball went right under his legs, and Kevin Mitchell scored.
Ray Knight
went to third. Did he go to third or second?
To second.
Yeah, and then the ball, little roller up along first behind the bag. It gets by Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it. Wow. I literally physically, because I'm not a small person, physically lifted Allie up and threw him on his couch. Like I lifted him up and threw, and then I gave Uncle Steve a bear hug, and we just celebrated. We made a wreck of Allie's house. He passed away since, God rest his soul. But sorry, we wrecked his house. But
it was all worth it, though, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, it was just my voice was shot, and I remember we left his apartment. He lived in Parkchester, and the three of us wanted to go to the bar, okay, and which was like a block away. I don't know if you remember the Welcome Inn, Barrett's Welcome Inn.
I remember the circle in Parkchester that everyone, that you guys lived, that they lived.
Yeah. So we leave the building, and the first thing I hear is somebody banging their pot, and like banging on their pots out one of the windows. And before we left, I should say, I wanted to call my friend who lived in Brooklyn because I knew he was a Met fan. And I dialed what I thought was his number. And I'm almost crying because I thought his wife answered the phone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, was that the greatest game you ever saw in your life? I can't believe it. And she's like, I can't believe it either. It was fantastic. And we're going on for like 30 seconds. I said, well, put John on the phone. I want to talk to him. She goes, who the hell's John? I dialed the wrong number. So anyway, Allie and Uncle Steven and I leave the building, and people are going crazy all over the street. I remember a large fella came up to the three of us. And, he was like 6'5". Came up to the three of us, gave us bear hugs. So we get down to the corner, and up the block is the bar we were going to. And in the intersection was my friends. You met Rich and JR's brother Dennis, and a bunch of guys were coming from the bar. So, and then they see us, and then all of a sudden I'm laying in the street with a pile of people over me.
Oh, that's awesome.
And cars are going by, and they're beeping and waving their hands. It was a tremendous thing. So we get to the bar. It was like 3 inches of beer on the floor, first of all. It was like a flood. It's like, do you have any more left in the tap there, pal?
Yeah.
So, but that was a good memory that my brother and I both share. It was a good moment,
Isn't that amazing how like the lady you call, the people on the street, like when a city's team wins, like everyone just becomes unified. It's an amazing.
Yeah, Sean, I got to do something long term about the internet connections we have in this joint. Part of the problem is it's like the Polar Bureau. Optimum's the only game in town, so they have no impetus to be good. See,
maybe get some boosters throughout the store.
Yeah, you keep mentioning that, but I don't feel like I need to buy that because I pay $100 and something a month for the. But anyway, let me edit that out. I'll probably edit that out. I don't want to complain about, in this joyous occasion of my
fucking Optimum.
That's it. I'm leaving it
Yeah.
in. So yeah, that was a great night for all of us. was a,
Yeah.
I'm sure my brother Steven and I both share that memory. It was a good memory.
You know, I was saying, I don't know, like where the hell we left off, but like, um, I think I talked about how like it unifies people.
Yeah, in the cities.
Yeah.
That's where we got cut off. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and it's like there's something I'm like I've gone through that at a Jet game before. I've gone through that in 06, 2015. Like it's a winning team will cure a lot of problems. But like the story you told, if I was, let's say I was your brother or I was I would have been right there with you guys, running
Yeah.
down to the bar and
If
tackling
you
people.
weren't 8, you would.
If I didn't have third grade class the next day, I would have,
Yeah.
like it's that's a beautiful moment, and
Yes.
like to go through a full season, like me and my brother have done that. Like you're in it. You're in the trenches, and
Yeah.
you're watching every pitch, and you're debating, you're talking about it, and like that's something you always have, you and Uncle Steve. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
One night during that season, I remember we went to the ball game. I think we were sitting out by Terminal B in LaGuardia Airport. That's how far away the seats were. Um, I think it was my sister and Anna and Steven. Anna is Steven's wife, Anna, and Steven. And after the ball game, it was a day game. And it was a hot day. But after the ball game, we went down to Rusty's in Manhattan and had dinner there. That was Rusty Staub's place. And actually, what's his name? I'm trying to remember who the traveling secretary probably still is for the Mets. Do you remember who I'm talking about?
Yeah, like
Jay Horowitz.
Yeah.
He
I
was
think
sitting right
actually
behind
he
us, him and his
retired
wife.
recently.
Huh?
I think he like finally retired like a
Oh,
year
he
ago.
did? Yeah, he was
Yeah.
with the Mets a long, long time.
Yeah.
But he was sitting right behind us at Rusty's. Rusty's was a nice place. We had some ribs, chicken ribs. I don't know if it's still around, is it?
I don't think so. I think I recall what you're talking about, but I
Yeah.
don't think it's there
Well,
anymore.
you remember Rusty Staub.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Ginger.
well, this was his joint.
Yeah,
He passed away, did he not?
I believe so.
Yeah, it's a shame. He's a good man.
Yeah.
So, but that's my Uncle Steven's story.
Yeah.
I could do a 6-hour podcast about Uncle Steven's stories, but
It's
we're
his-
only doing this, for his birthday.
trying to keep it positive. Let's keep
Yeah,
it-
no, it was a lot, mostly positive stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uncle Steve. Well, first off, he's my godfather.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, my mother, named him my godfather. So we've always had like a special kind of bond growing up as a kid. And he knew I was a big baseball guy, and so we would talk about that stuff. But my memories of Uncle Steve, like, was there an apartment in Park Chester right next door to Grandma's?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. All right, I just couldn't. So like go, like we would come down to see Grandma, and then your mother, and like I would hang out with, it was
No,
just
your mother.
your mother,
Yeah.
but it was just Christina, my cousin, your niece. I think she's like 6 years younger than me or something. So, but I would go over there and hang out with Uncle. I remember those memories, hanging out with Uncle Steve, and then they moved up to Westchester, in Somers when I was in high school, and then they moved in, I think, with Anna's sister or something. I can't really remember.
Yeah, up by Stewart Airport, I think, in Newburgh or
No,
north of
Somers.
Newburgh.
No, in Somers.
Oh, Somers. Yeah, well, they live there as well, but now
Yeah.
they live in I think near San Antonio, Texas. I got to go down there and visit, but
But the memories of, I would go over there, and there was a pool, and we'd hang out by the pool, and then chill with Uncle Steve. So yeah, I just have a lot of good memories with Uncle Steve. He's a character, man. He's an absolute character.
he's a top shelf fella,
Yeah.
and he would be the first to tell you the juice is worth the squeeze, Sean.
Yeah. And then, when I was old enough to have a couple beers, I definitely had a couple nights with you and him, and those are
Yes.
nights I always remember.
Yes.
Going out drinking that, like, because drinking the people you looked up to as a kid. Now you're out there like sitting at the same stools as them and having a couple beers and whatever.
Yes.
So
There's a I used to go over there when he lived right next door to your grandma, my parents' apartment there in Parkchester. He lived next door, and I used to go over there probably 5 nights a week to make sure Budweiser still tasted the same from the night before. And I remember there was one song, because he used to have some really kick-ass speakers. He was big on audio,
Yeah.
and he had some really kick-ass speakers. And there was a song called "I'm Gonna Love Her for Both of Us" by Meatloaf. And Max Weinberg is playing the drums on that song. And there's a break like in the middle, and Max Weinberg comes in. It's hard to explain to you now because I don't think you've ever heard the song, or maybe you have. I don't know. I swear to God, we had that damn thing on. Like it went up to 10, but we managed to get it up to 12. It's a wonder. Like everybody in the building didn't call the cops. That's how loud we had that bad boy. It sounded like Max Weinberg's drums were in his living room.
That's awesome.
So Anna, hopefully you'll see this too, Anna. Thanks for putting up with all the bullshit down there in the apartment, especially the loud music. But Anna is a very tolerable person. She tolerated it a lot.
Yeah.
And God bless both of you down there in Texas.
I always remember there was a song we played. There's a group called James. They're like a 90s band. And there was a song called Sometimes.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
It's probably in my top 5 favorite songs of all time.
Him and you guys are like, what is this? Like, he was like, this song is amazing.
Hey, well, it is amazing. It's an amazing song.
But to be able to give him something like, a song as a gift, that's awesome.
Yeah, he is one of the main reasons whatever my taste of music is, he's the one who molded that into whatever it is now. And he was always big on keeping an open mind to songs, and so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing, without me even realizing the influence of him to you, to us, it's all connected, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thanks, Uncle Steve, because I feel like I have such a well-rounded taste of music. I like so many different things, and I'm sure you play a part in it, even though I don't even probably realize from a day to day.
Well, there's sort of a gap between all my brothers and sisters and myself. I think my parents thought they were done after Richard was born, who was the second oldest for me, because they're all like a year or two apart. Yeah. And then Schmuck comes along, whatever, 7-10 years later. So, yeah, I mean, when I was, let's put it this way, when I was 10, Uncle Steven was already in college or getting out of college. Or he was probably in the Army or Navy by then, by the time I was.
But to show you the ropes, like I know people who have like a big age gap in siblings, and like there's instead of being close, they're distant. Just because naturally, one's 22 and one's 11, like they're not.
Yeah, well, I'm blessed in that we don't have that gap,
It's awesome.
So Stephen is a good man.
Yeah.
And this is I don't know what you want to call it, an emergency podcast to fulfill Christina's request to have a montage.
And like a shout out to Uncle Steve, and
definitely to honor my brother Stephen, and long may he run. And Uncle Steve, I'm only because Sean's it. Steve, thank you obviously for being the big brother that anybody could hope for, and also for your service to our country in 2 branches of the service. So I appreciate both of those things. I know our Papa's proud of you, and I'm proud of you, and everybody else is proud of you. And hopefully the next 30 years, you get everything you want out of life, because you're still a young man, laddie book. 70 is young.
Yeah. So, Uncle Steve, just happy birthday, and thanks for the love all these years. I appreciate it. Hopefully we all get to taste one more championship sometime soon.
Well, that's something to shoot for. All right. Thanks for jumping in at the last minute, Sean, but I wanted to interrupt our regularly scheduled programming. So everything that was supposed to be, we just move it up a week.
And one more thing, and to the family, welcome to the Gritty Hour.
Oh yeah, I can't believe I haven't told anybody else about it until now, but here it is. Sean and I are trying this.
Doing something.
Yeah, we're doing something with our time.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sean, it's good to see you back in the northeastern part of the United States of America. And you'll come up to Millbrook soon. You just
Yeah.
came back yesterday, yes?
I got back. No, I got back Friday night. So, and then it was, a shout out to my nephew. It's his birthday today. He's 11.
Yes.
So this weekend we did, we're out around my brothers and doing, they got the pool in and, the whole.
And I'm sure you'll be as great an uncle to Colin that Uncle Steve was to you.
Yeah, listen, you, Uncle Steve, you guys, you show me what it means to be an uncle. So I'm doing my best, and I think it's panning out pretty good.
You're doing a hell of a job.
Yeah, I think it's panning out pretty good.
All right, brother. Thanks for jumping in at the last minute. And Steve, enjoy your birthday and many, many more, sir.
All right, team.
All right, Sean. Take care.